fucking funny.
Does that sound fine?
What's the boogeyman?
Welcome back to the Moonjuice Metal Horror Podcast, the podcast where we live and breathe heavy metal and horror, but are not afraid to shit on both of them. Okay, Mike, did I fuck that up?
No, you didn't fuck it
Okay.
up. I'm Mike, by the way. You just forgot to say your name.
Sorry. I gave you an introduction before you got to introduce yourself.
Everything's cool, yeah.
So me and Mike, of course, we don't just start filming this thing. We never do. We usually talk for almost a damn hour before we start it. But we had gotten into another conversation
Awesome.
about the new Star Trek series coming out, and not in a good way. So I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. But what's the name of the new Star Trek?
Starfleet Academy.
Starfleet Academy.
Starfleet Academy, but I'm going to call it Star Trek 90210.
Okay, so here is the original poster advertisement for the series right here, and now here is the original advertisement for Beverly Hills 90210. Mike, what the fuck is going on, dude?
Still,
what time are we living in?
I can't see it on the screen, but thinking about it, I can't. I mean,
like that.
I can't take it. Oh, I can't take it seriously, dude. I'm not watching it.
What the fuck is happening?
As a long-year Star Trek fan, I've been Star Trek fan since I was 6 years old, and I'm not watching it. I'm not going to watch it.
I don't know. Like, I imagine that fans of our show, people that watch the show regularly are probably horror fans, obviously, but a certain number of them also have to be sci-fi weirdos, because we both are too, right? We love sci-fi. Yeah. I think it's a very normal thing. People are like, all these fucking dirty discussions about Star Wars and what would happen in Star Wars and what happens in Star Trek and what shouldn't happen in Star Trek. Like, it's just wizards in space and all that kind of shit. No. So these are stories that people grew up with and they love and are near and dear to them. And there's a formula, right? There's a way that you portray something that's true to the source material. Star Trek, probably not as much as Star Wars, but Star Trek has gotten further and further and further away from what it originally was. And now it's just being marketed very strangely.
Star Trek is worse than Star Wars.
You think so?
Worse. It's worse.
How so?
It's 100 times. I mean, in my opinion, it's 100 times worse than Star Wars. What they've done. Everything since Discovery. Huh? How? Okay. Let's begin with Discovery. Discovery is more like Kampfstern Galactica, or Battlestar
Galactica. Yeah.
Yeah. Spock never had a sister. Never. Right. He had a brother, but he never had a sister. They introduced technologies in the first season of Discovery that creates a plot hole the size of Texas. Because if they would have had these technologies, the entire series of Voyager would have never happened. I mean, later on in season 3, they come like there's some event that happens that makes light speed travel impossible, and it's sometime in the 30th century. Also something multiple times in Next Generation and in Voyager has stated how the 30th century happened. This was not part of it.
Okay.
By the way, Picard, they turned the Romulans into poor victims.
Yeah.
One of the biggest empires in Star Trek. One planet blows up and the Romulan empire falls.
Mm-hmm.
A planet, by the way, that has strategically no relevance to the Romulan Empire. And I mean, these things they introduced in Star Trek, they're not minor. They're not minor details. They're fundamental world building elements that annihilate 3 entire Star Trek shows.
Mm-hmm.
We're way beyond plot holes at that point. And Star Wars has not done that to that extreme.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no, but that's a huge discussion. There are a lot of things that they did. Like it's let's put it this way, without going into it, it's enough for me to completely ignore the sequel trilogy just because of
Yes.
that. There's enough of that world-breaking, lore-breaking shit that happens in those 3 movies for me to just say those don't exist, because if those did exist, it would destroy everything that happened in the first, the original trilogy, right? But that's just it, Mike. As people who create a show that is from a sacred IP that has its own rules and its own world and everything, how hard is it to stick to that? Why can we just not stick to that? I don't understand where they get these fucking writers, dude. Is it just they're hiring people who don't know anything about the original stories?
Yes, often.
Fuck.
They do that. The Acolyte,
That's ridiculous.
The producer of the Acolyte show, not the Acolyte Star Wars, Leslie Hansen, she specifically hired people that did not like Star Wars. In a job interview, she specifically said she had a job interview for a writer of the Acolyte show. She asked that potential hire, what do you know about Star Wars? The answer the person gave her was, that's a movie where Han Solo flies around through space with a man-sized dog. Leslie, whatever her name was, says, you're hired. Specifically. Now, I mean, Disney, Marvel specifically tell their writers not to look into the source material. And in other cases, a lot of things where you see these types of stories, for a very long time, were bad fan fiction in the internet. And a lot of these writers on Tumblr and multiple platforms that wrote their bad fan fiction on the internet are all hired now in all of these shows. And they're the ones writing it. That's why pretty much every sci-fi and fantasy show is now just basically bad fan fiction.
Okay. I don't know. I just don't know how much worse it's going to get. But I mean, that right there was, you showed me that and I was like, well, that's the nail in the coffin for me. I'm not even sure if I want to watch sci-fi anymore. Like, I'm done. But I mean, even if you're not a Star Trek fan or a Star Wars fan, which I'm not a big Star Trek fan, I'll watch it because I grew up with it. My mom was a huge Star Trek fan, so I know all the stories and kind of, vicariously became a fan of it. But I know enough about Star Trek to know that is ridiculous. And the marketing campaign is insane. It's sad. Anyway, I digress. This is a horror podcast, but I wanted to at least let you guys in on the discussion that we had before this. To me, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, this is the last. Actually, we already planned on starting with our Christmas movies today.
Shit.
Well. Yes. Yeah, but how it's already December, and originally our plan was to start in December, with our Christmas movies, but we left out an episode last week, so fuck it, we're just gonna start a week later.
That's my fault. I went to Denmark for my wedding anniversary and had everything set up and ready to go, and our neighbors started getting really loud, which would have made recording very difficult. So we decided to skip it. So you guys can blame me for that one. But so we'll pick up now, and then after this one, we'll start our Christmas movies.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So the movie that we're doing today, and we can't give it away too early, Mike. Like last time, last episode, we were like, and this movie, blah, and you were like, and the name of the movie, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, okay, I don't get to ask you what the movie was that we were doing today, but it's okay.
It's okay. The name immediately.
It's okay. I went back when I was editing it, and I was like, is there any way that I can edit this out to where he doesn't give it away? But I couldn't, because it was such a major part of what you were saying that if I took it out, it wouldn't fit. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just leaving it in there, and I'm going to ask for forgiveness later. This movie is one of those that you could argue is maybe not a horror film. There's a lot of there's different opinions about what this movie is. And a lot of it has to do with the time in which it was released, what happens in the movie. I will take a stance here and say that it is a horror movie, but only because of a specific scene that is in the film that's there and does not fit in this film whatsoever. But they could not, there's 2 directors for this film, right? and they had an argument about what should be in the film, why it should be in the film, what kind of film this is. And when you realize who the two directors are, it makes perfect sense, right? But there's a scene in this film that automatically makes it a horror film. If this scene was not in the film, then this would arguably be like a paranormal thriller, is what you could call it, right? But because this one scene is in the film, it is now a horror film. That is not to say that it's a bad film. This film is absolutely one of my favorites. And not because it's a horror film, but because of the direction. Yeah, the direction of the film is excellent. The set pieces are brilliant. The acting is great. The characters are really believable. One of the characters is also a dog, which is cool. Like, props for that. And just generally, this is a super high dose of 80s nostalgia in the best way possible. We can agree on that, right? Like, this is an 80s movie through and through, like peak 80s. Yeah. So, what film are we doing today, Mike?
Poltergeist is the movie we're doing.
Okay, now say it in English.
Poltergeist.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
So I do that because the Germans can't help it, because this film has a German title. And if you say
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist
Yeah,
to any American,
it's
they're
a
going to be
German
like,
word, man.
what fucking movie are you talking about? I know, but in America in the 80s, nobody had any concept of what a German word was or how you pronounce it. So in English, it's poltergeist, right? Not poltergeist, poltergeist. So if you, yeah. And so if you pronounce it the German way, everybody's like, what movie? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. So in American English, it's poltergeist, right?
Yeah,
and nobody knew what the fuck
Poltergeist.
that word was at that time. Nobody knew what country it was from. They were just like, yeah, that fucking movie that's in the theater right now with that really weird name, that movie. That's what they said. Yeah. Poltergeist.
Okay, yeah.
Poltergeist is a German word that means noisy ghost, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what
Yes,
better way
yes.
could you translate? I think polter is just like noise or general chaos.
Yeah, polter is usually polter up, like party. So
Polter,
yeah, I would
yeah.
say noisy ghost is, you know, like when you would
Yep.
worldly transformation.
Noisy
But
ghost.
also the phenomenon. Yeah, the phenomenon that is in this movie, and that a lot of people, you know, over the years, over the centuries have described that what is the basis for this movie is also called in German Poltergeist or Poltergeist.
Yeah. Okay. Why was that name chosen for this movie, though, is my question. Because what happens in this movie is it's not necessarily a noisy ghost or a ghost that just does common things. This is an evil entity that fucks with this family. So it's hardly a poltergeist.
Yeah, no, it's that is more or less a poltergeist. Now, a poltergeist is not the same thing as a ghost or a haunting ghost, spirit, whatever. There are, you know, differences. I mean, also the thing is, it's kind of wishy-washy because a poltergeist is entirely different from whatever story you're talking to. You know, I mean, if you look at the basis, you can look at ghosts and all that kind of stuff. Poltergeist. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not 100% sure if what I'm saying here is now factually true or not. For whatever source, whatever story, whatever movie, whatever you look at, Poltergeist is something different.
Okay.
If I remember what it is in this movie, just like you said, it is an evil spirit that they said that is bothering this family. It's different from other spirits. It is an evil ghost, of course, but that it somehow, because the girl is totally pure, that is a high energy for this evil spirit, and that's why it focuses on her, because it gives it more power over the other ghosts, more or less. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This movie has a place in movie history, I think, one, because of how well it's done. And this was the first one of its kind. Like we have a lot of movies that we've seen recently. For instance, what's it called? Paranormal Activity, right? So Paranormal Activity is a direct spawn of this film. That entire franchise came from the ideas that were portrayed in this movie. Aside from that, there are so many things that were laid down in this film that became staples of this kind of movie in the future and recent future as well. So you have Evil Dead 2, and you have Ghostbusters specifically. Ghostbusters took two things from this film, and almost just directly copied them. Like there are staples of the Ghostbusters franchise that specifically came from this. One of those is the slime, the ectoplasm that you see on people, right? Yeah, ectoplasm, right. So Ghostbusters specifically took that. On top of that, Ivan Reitman said, and he's quoted as saying, the soundtrack for this film and the music that they used for this film, I love so much that I directly copied it for Ghostbusters. So if you go and you watch Ghostbusters, the music that's in that film is identical to this, 1-to-1 in almost every way. And you almost need to go watch Ghostbusters again just to hear the soundtrack and the music they use, because it is exactly what they use in this film. So that and the ectoplasm. Second thing is the evil tree that grabs the boy and pulls him out of the house. That is Evil Dead 2 in every way. So this film came out right after Evil Dead Part 1. Sam Raimi was like, holy shit, what a brilliant idea. I love the tree. We're going to use that in this film, but we're going to turn it up to 10. So the evil tree came from this film as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about this is the directors. And this is what I haven't talked to Mike offline to see if he knew this or not. This is kind of one of those things that I'm about to find out if he knows. Do you know who the two directors are and what they've done before?
Ivan Reitman and Sammy Raimi.
Sammy Raimi.
I don't know what his name is.
Sam Raimi.
Sam
No.
Raimi? Like that?
So this movie is Steven Spielberg.
Right, exactly. Steven Spielberg. Exactly. Yeah.
Steven Spielberg, right? Which that accounts for all of the things that we see in this film that are callbacks to his films and George Lucas's films, which there's a shit ton of them. The other one is Tobe Hooper, writer director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
So this was his big screen debut after that film.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Tobe Hooper,
cool.
Tobe Hooper loves gore. Yeah, he loves gore. He does gore. He does disturbing films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that are full of gore and dread. This film does not fit what he does at all, but he's credited as the main director alongside Steven Spielberg for this film. Now, if you know that going into this film, then this film makes a lot more sense. And you also see things from both directors, and some things don't fit the film whatsoever. When we get to that part, and I'm sure if you've seen the movie or if it's one of your favorites, you already know what part I'm talking about. But there's a scene where somebody has a vision in this film, and it turns to gore like this, and it does not fit in the movie at all. And that is because there is a huge argument between Steven Spielberg, who wanted this movie to be a family-friendly spook film, and Tobe Hooper, who was like, nah, man, we got to throw some fucking gore in here. There's got to be some gore. So there was an argument between the two, and Steven Spielberg told him, absolutely not. We're not going to do what you want to do. That's not going in the film. And then when Steven Spielberg went on vacation, Tobe Hooper filmed the part anyway and put it in the movie. And Steven Spielberg was like, fine, okay. So that's why you got the scene you got. And arguably, I was talking to Chrissy about it because we watched the film right before we did this episode. If that was done in a film nowadays, the film would have automatically gotten a PG-13 rating or possibly an R rating, depending on the censors. But this film got a PG. It was a PG film, which is really strange because if I was 3 to 4 years old and I saw that scene, that would have terrified me to death.
Yeah.
But they got away with it. So yeah. You got anything else you want to say about the film before we get into the actors?
No. Oh shit. Fuck. Oh yeah. Well, no. Oh shit. Oh no. Wait. Fuck.
It's okay, dude.
Shit. No. I almost accidentally clicked out of the call.
Oh shit! Don't do that.
Shit,
Nobody wants to hear me talking to myself, dude. Nobody wants to hear me talking to myself.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I want to say is we talked about before. There's a specific scene in the movie that it's so ridiculous that I find it difficult to take the movie seriously after that point. It's the same thing with It. you know, or the remake of it. Now, there's one scene in the movie that I cracked up laughing, and it's so ridiculous to me that I have issues taking the movie seriously. I'll probably start making fun of it once we get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I know what scene you're talking about.
yeah, exactly. Okay, we have JoBeth Williams playing Diane Freeling. We have Heather O'Rourke playing Carol Anna Feeling. Craig T. Nelson. I've seen this guy in multiple movies, but I can't actually remember what title. But I know this actor. I've seen him in multiple movies.
Yeah, he's in everything
Um,
at this time.
yeah. Steve Freeling, Beatrice Straight as Dr. Lesh, Dominique Dunne as Dana Feeling. Then we have Oliver Robbins as Robbie Feeling. Michael McManus. I'm just gonna call him that. Michael
That's fine. It's close
McManus.
enough.
That's one. That is one hell of a name. Michael McManus. Okay, we have Virginia Kisser now who plays Mrs. Toothill. We have Martine Casella playing Marty. Richard Lawson playing Ryan. Oh, Zelda Rubinstein playing Tangina. Nah? I can make fun of this name the whole day. Tangina.
I love how and this is the same with every podcast. I love when you come along all these American names and you're American, so you get the American names out just right, and then when there's one that has a little bit of a German name to it, you're like, Albert Rubinstein. It's just German pronunciation of it. It's fucking hilarious, dude. I sit by waiting for this every episode because it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, but it's Zelda Rubinstein. No? Because I said Rubinstein,
yeah.
right? But it's actually
yeah.
because I tried to pronounce it in American English, but in German it would be Rubinstein.
Rubinstein. Yeah. We just say Stein. We don't have the st, but I appreciate it that you do that. It's kind of a lesson to Americans on how to actually pronounce German stuff. So is that all the actors?
No, there's a few more, but I just thought fuck it and stop because they're all people that I don't really give a shit about.
Yeah, and most of them I haven't seen in other films. So
yeah, they're all just I don't know. Because it has here. Okay, we have two people playing neighbors. That's what they're listed as, and actually, somebody here listed as playing bulldozer. Funny, very funny. Here we have also a woman playing the woman buyer. That's what they're listed as the character.
Okay.
I find it funny to see that an actor is listed as playing a bulldozer.
I mean, it was a caterpillar, so they could have just called it caterpillar bulldozer, but whatever.
Yeah.
This film is I don't know. It's one of those pop culture icons. There's movies that come out and there's a line said in the movie that everybody knows because they really like the movie. And they remember, and then that becomes kind of a pop culture thing to say, right? So I was alive at this time. I was very young, but I remember everybody saying, if you wanted to be creepy, you would walk into a room and say, they're here. And that became such a popular thing to do. It was in commercials. So there were commercials on TV selling products, and there would be a young blonde girl around 5 years old that would show up in these commercials and be like, they're here. And it would be some product that they were trying to sell. But that came directly from this film. So that one line right there was super popular in pop culture for a good 10 years after this movie came out. It's kind of the same thing with like Terminator 2 with Hasta la Vista, baby. How everybody was saying that shit after Terminator 2, right? Same kind of thing. This movie was such a pop culture icon of a film that it spawned a bunch of like reusable phrases in culture. And I remember that specifically. Also, a big mistake, saw this movie when I was 4. And was terrified. Absolutely fucking terrified. I did not see the scene that I was talking about earlier that Tobe Hooper put into this. I think it's possible my mom knew it was coming and like got me away from the TV, but I did see the tunnel scene and the big monster skeleton thing that's standing in front of the room in that one scene, not letting the mom in. And those two things are burned into my memory. I kept thinking that there was going to be a tunnel that appeared on my bedroom wall and tried to pull me into it. I also thought that I was going to go upstairs and that big skeleton monster thing was going to be standing in front of my bedroom. This movie terrified the shit out of me. It's like 4. So I have a lot of memories about this film, and this is the first time as an adult where I've gone back and watched it and thought maybe it's not scary, maybe it's kind of cheesy or whatever. But Mike, this movie holds up, dude. This movie holds up. Special effects wise,
It
holds
is
up.
absolutely a good movie. I mean, also it was the same for me. I was still living in the States before I saw this movie because I was very, very young as well. Because I've never seen it. This is a movie I've never seen in German. So
No
I
shit.
only remember yes, I've only remember watching it in English as a kid with my grandma. And of course, my grandma, she didn't hide me from anything. I watched the whole thing with her. Well, no, as a kid,
Thanks, Grandma.
I didn't find this
Your
thing
grandma's an
scary
absolute
at
fucking
all.
legend.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, how old were you when you saw it? Do you remember?
Probably 6, 7, I guess. This was like
Okay.
This is one of the
I was
movies on the
quite a bit
same weekend.
younger.
I watched this movie with her. And I think we had might have had a movie night. What I remember, I think, was Poltergeist and The Terminator. I watched this with my grandma.
Okay.
Because my grandma was also a Terminator fan.
Okay. Dude, I wish I could have met your grandma. We would have probably hit it off, dude.
Probably.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes in this film that I think arguably, like I said before, would not have gotten a PG rating if it were to come out now. But watching it, and I try to watch everything. If it's an older movie that we do, I try to watch it with kind of a contextual time lens to say, yeah, okay, the special effects maybe look a little dated, right? Maybe that wouldn't work nowadays. But there's not one scene in this film that I look at it and I say, well, they couldn't just go ahead and release this now. Like there's not a scene in this movie where I feel like the special effects are off or they wouldn't work today.
Yeah.
At all. And they're all practical, of course, because we didn't have CGI at this time. But there is a scene, and I think if you're watching this podcast and you don't really want to watch the whole movie, at least go in and watch the bedroom scene where there are different articles that were in the room floating around the room. And this is when the investigators are in the room looking to see if they can film anything paranormal. They walk into the bedroom where the closet is, and there's lamps floating around. There's books floating around the room. There's a book that pops up right in front of their face and laughs at them and then flies away. All of this stuff would have held up now, and nobody would have even known that this film was made back in the early 80s because it's done that well. And I think that's a real credit to this film. Like they didn't spare any expense at this time on special effects. So thank goodness for that. Because if you watch older movies, sometimes it takes you out of it. You know what I mean? Like you'll watch older special effects and you'll be like, yeah, I can't watch this. I can't take it seriously because it looks like shit. Not one scene in this film looks like shit. So when the story opens up, this is something that I was asked about by a couple of Germans at one time. I think we were discussing horror movies, and one of them asked me, he's like, hey, what is the deal with the national anthem in this movie? Why is the first scene you get the entire American national anthem played from beginning to end on a TV? That seems ridiculous. Truth is, that's exactly what they did. So back in the 80s, when TV programs would come on, when it was the end of the night and the movies were over and they weren't going to show any more like TV, they would end the channel with the American national anthem. And that's what we get at the very beginning of this film. And it seems very off watching it in context now, modern day wise, why they would do that. But that's actually what they did. So you get the entire national anthem and then it ends with the Marines on Iwo Jima holding up the flag. And then the TV cuts to static, right?
Yeah.
When the TV cuts to static, this is going to come back over and over throughout the film, the static on the TV. The father has fallen asleep in his chair downstairs. He's just been watching TV all night, and now the programs have ended, so the national anthem comes on, and then it's static. The little girl, whose name I can't remember. Do you remember her name?
No, I just read it.
Yeah, I know, but I've already forgotten. See, ADHD is a killer, Mike.
Heather.
Heather.
No, it's Carol.
Carol. Okay.
Heather is the name of the actress. Carol.
Okay. Carol. So this is how we're going to remember the names for this film. Is I'm just going to ask you what the character's name was again because I don't remember a single fucking character's name from this film.
I'm just going to call them whatever comes first to my mind as usual.
Okay. The interesting names we're going to come up with for this film. Anyway, Carol walks down the stairs from her bedroom. She's awakened by the sound of the static and goes and sits in front of the TV. And you kind of hear some whispers going on in the background coming out of the TV. And she's responding to everything the whispers say and answering it, which is your first hint that maybe something else is going on here in this house. She sits in front of the TV and puts her hands on the TV and is talking. And her talking is enough to wake up dad and enough to wake up the mom and the whole family. And they come downstairs into the basement and watch her messing around with this TV and talking to it. Right.
Yeah.
The next morning, we get a really cool scene. And this is before the title card even happens. Right. This dog, Mike, I fucking love this dog. He's the most opportunistic dog. You can tell this dog has no boundaries in this household. Like they just let him be a member of the family. They don't correct him. He's just the dog. He's literally going from bedroom to bedroom, eating snacks out of the bed of the people while they're still asleep. And it's the most brilliant scene, dude. I love it. He's literally going from mom's room to kid's room, to wherever else he can around the house to find snacks that he knows are there because the people fall asleep eating snacks. He grabs like a whole bag of Cheetos out of the little boy's bed, spills them everywhere, eats those. When he's done eating those, he goes to the sister's room and like eats whatever she's got on her mantle. So before the whole family's even awake, this dog has had breakfast, like a really good breakfast. And I imagine this happens like every morning, right?
Yeah, I know one. I know a dog like that. My dad's dog, Baloo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've met Baloo.
Yeah,
he's the exact same way.
That's how you know you're treating your dog right. If he's just like, well, it's morning time, I'm just gonna go to everybody's bed and eat breakfast before anybody gets up. So I'm not sure where this film takes place. I should have probably looked that up and done my research, but I was too lazy. I think it's Colorado, or it also may be New Mexico. I don't know, but this town that we're seeing is kind of like, see, I've got the German word in my head, but I can't think of the English word. What's Tal? What's Tal?
Was?
Tal.
Valley. Tal. Valley. It's in a valley.
Valley. Yeah. Okay. It's a valley town. Yeah, I forgot the English word. It's a valley town that's kind of, in the middle of all these mountains and everything. It's very picturesque. The community, on the other hand, is your very typical community from the 80s, where people didn't really have to spend $500,000 for a nice house. These houses at this time, this would have been 1982, I think. These houses would have cost maybe $120,000. And the only issue with that is that every house looks exactly alike. It's like your neighbor's house has the exact same layout plan as your house, and the house next to them looks exactly the same as their house, and it's an entire valley built out of the exact same house. And this was really typical in the 80s, and we're just now getting around to cleaning that up in the United States to where every house looks a little bit different. But that's what this community is. It's a housing project that has been built up by a very big company over a 10-year period. And so what they would do back in the 80s is they would build these houses and they'd sell them and everybody would move in and you would have communities popping up all over the United States within the period of about 5 years. It was like a housing boom because the economy was really, really good at the time, and people were getting paid well. So this was a period in the United States where things were going just fine until we fucked it all up. We also get the scene with the TV, which I think is hilarious because I remember this exact same thing happening when I was a kid. So if your neighbor had the same remote you had for your TV, it would also accidentally change the channel in your house. And that's what we get. We get the dad who is watching a football game that's obviously a really important football game with all of his friends. Everybody's congregated at his house and they're all watching football. And the neighbor wants to change the channel to Mr. Rogers because his kids want to see Mr. Rogers. And every time he changes the channel, it changes the channel in the neighbor's house. So there's this argument back and forth between the dad and the neighbor about which program they want to watch right now. And it becomes a like remote fight. They're clicking the remotes on both houses to change their TV channels. And I think it's hilarious because that actually happened. That was an 80s thing. And I remember it happening in our house because our neighbor next door had the same fucking remote that we had, and it would change the channel in our house every once. So yeah, normal suburban family. The dad is a salesman for the company who builds the houses, right? So his job is to sell houses to people who want to live in this housing project. Obviously, he's doing really well because basically he got his house for free. They mentioned that in the film. Because of his sales, they just gave him a house in the same community. The family lived really well. And seem pretty happy. We get a scene where Tweety Bird dies. So pour one out for Tweety Bird. Tweety Bird dies. The mom notices it, and she does what every parent does while the kids are not looking. She takes the Tweety Bird into the bathroom, and she's about to flush it down the toilet. And the little girl walks in right when she's about to do it. So the little girl's like, "Oh no, not Tweety." She's like, "Fuck, now I have to bury this thing in a cigar box. I can't do it the quick, easy way." So the family go out to the garden. They find a cigar box. They put Tweety Bird in the cigar box. The little girl's really cute, and I think this scene is kind of to establish how innocent she is, right? Because it gives the movie more depth to know that this little girl is probably the most innocent, sweet little thing that could be, that then gets taken by an angry ghost later. Obviously, the little bird's dead, but she wants to give it a blanket so that it's warm. She wants to put a family photo into the box with the bird. She gives it a rose. She's just like, well, what if Tweety wakes up? All this cute kid stuff. They go outside and they bury the box. They come back in and put the kids to bed. And the mom and the dad, I like the scene because the mom and the dad are rolling a joint in the bedroom, but there's some things that don't make any sense about this. Like they got their cigar box out with their weed in there. He's rolling one, she's rolling one, she's already smoking. But the dad like rolls one on the bed and then leaves a whole bunch of weed just laying on the bed and then decides to get up on the bed and jump on it. So there's weed flying from the bed all over the carpet and everything else. And I was like, what the fuck? Why would you just waste all that like that? And as this is happening, there's a big tree, and this is a part that Sam Raimi kind of took from this. There's a big tree right outside of the little boy's bedroom, and he's scared of it, right? Because this tree is pretty ominous. It's like one of these really big old trees that doesn't have leaves anymore. It's got two big branches that kind of look like arms, like it's reaching towards the window, and it's a creepy fucking tree, dude. Like I would be freaked out by this tree if it was outside my bedroom and I was his age. He doesn't like it. There's a storm that rolls in. There's some lightning that happens. It scares him. One thing I couldn't help but notice, Mike, did you notice the posters all around this kid's bedroom?
Star Wars, or as I remember.
Not just Star Wars. There's Star Wars stuff everywhere. And that is a callback to George Lucas, because George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were really good friends. But there's Star Wars posters, there's Star Wars toys, there's memorabilia everywhere. This kid is a peak 80s kid who loves Star Wars, but there's also an Alien poster in the room from the first Alien film, and it's displayed on the right-hand side of the room, like in full view of everything. And Steven Spielberg's known for doing this, like putting pieces of other films that his friends have done in his own films. He was a good friend of the guy who did the original Alien film. So that's why the poster's in
Ridley Scott.
Yeah. So Ridley Scott, yeah. So the boy and the little girl sleep in the same room. He's scared to death of the lightning, so he runs into dad's room. Mom and dad's room, says, "Hey, lightning, scared, blah, whatever." The dad decides to go into the room with him so he can get him back to bed. And he's like, "Hey, I was scared of lightning and thunder when I was your age, but if you wait for lightning to happen, then you count after each lightning strike until the thunder hits. And every time you should be able to do that, and you should count higher. And that's how you know the storm's getting away from you." So they do that, and he counts and he gets to 3, I think. And then when he goes back in his bedroom, lightning strikes again. The kid counts, and now it's 4. So he knows the storm's getting away, right? And you get this kind of this sense of relief, like the kids are going to go to sleep. And then all of a sudden, this big bolt of lightning hits, and the next scene you see is the 2 parents laying in bed with both kids in the bed with them, which is typical because this is what every kid did. If you were scared, you just instantly went and go and slept with your parents because that was the safe place. Yeah. Red Foreman makes an appearance here because the dad is kind of watching a war movie in the background, and
Yeah.
the actor who played Red Foreman is in this movie, so he has kind of a small appearance in this film, which is great because I love the '70s show. Fucking great show. Okay, Mike, let's talk about the damn clown, right? This doesn't make any fucking sense to me, and maybe you can clear this up for me. I don't think you can. But if you're scared to death of a puppet in your room, why would you put it in the chair in front of your bed every night in the same position if you're scared to death of it? Which is what this kid did.
Stupidity.
Yeah. This is a plot device that makes no sense because this kid is terrified to death of this clown doll. And for whatever reason, it is sitting in a chair right in front of his bed every night. They
Yeah.
never
And
change
yeah.
this thing's position.
It's weird because it keeps on. It keeps on. It stays there the entire time, and it's just like, even as a kid, if I would be scared of it, I would just took it and throw it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah,
It does
put it in a closet so I wouldn't have to see it. But
It doesn't make any sense. It's sitting right there in front of his bed, and it's there every night because we see the room during the day a few times, and the clown is not in the chair because the room's been moved around because the kid was playing or whatever. And then when it's nighttime again and it's time to go to bed, the clown is right back in the chair in the same position, staring him down in his bed. Like, why the fuck would you do this? It's funny too because he has this jacket with like a Chewbacca picture on the back of it because this is like peak '80s. So it's like a red jacket with Chewbacca's face on the back, and he takes it and he throws the jacket over the clown's face so that it's a face of Chewbacca, and it makes him feel better, and he goes back to sleep. But this is one of those plot devices where I was like, why? Like we could have like not shown the clown earlier and have it in the exact same position every night when this kid goes to sleep. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So next scene we get the kids were laying in bed with the parents because they were both scared of the lightning and thunder. The parents had turned on the TV again. So again, we get the ending of the night's program and the national anthem comes on again. We have to listen to the entire fucking American national anthem again in this film, which is annoying to me. I'm tired of hearing the national anthem. And then the TV turns to static again, like it always does. The little girl's in bed with them. She notices the static is going. There's voices in the static again. She gets up out of the bed and goes and sits in front of the TV. And this is the scene where we get kind of the first appearance of anything otherworldly or ghostly, right? There are these, I want to say like smoke hands, but they're not smoke hands. It's almost like electricity type hands that come out of the TV and kind of float around her and then form this hand over the bed of the family as if it's going to grab them. And then before it grabs them, it turns and shoots directly into the wall above the bed and makes kind of a hole in the wall. And the only person that sees this is the little girl. The family hear it, obviously, but the little girl is the only one who sees it. What was the purpose of that?
Only from, I don't know. The only thing I can see is it's supposed to show that somehow the poltergeist is now entering the house or somehow claiming the house as its territory or something like that. That is how I actually saw it or how I would interpret it. Other than that, I don't see much of a reason for it. No. But I mean, from a storytelling point, this is clearly meant to show that there's something supernatural going on, just like you said. Now that's what this is specifically supposed to show. But when you go to like plot wise, like inside the plot itself, yeah, I would just say, just like I just explained, this is like the point of the story that like the poltergeist is now taking hold in our reality or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking originally maybe that's where the tunnel came out of the wall later, but then I remembered, wait, no, that's the kids' room. So whatever. So let's go ahead and take it like you said it. This is the spirit claiming the house as its own, right?
That's what I would say.
Yeah. there's a bunch of stuff that happens between now and then, but it's normal, like family stuff. You see the family interacting, just kind of normal day-to-day stuff. There's one scene here that's worth mentioning, and I think it's kind of telling of the time. They have kind of a work crew that's outside of their house that's kind of bulldozing the backyard because they're building a pool, right?
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of workers out there. They've got a bulldozer, they've got a whole bunch of other tools, but the guys that are working here, it's only men on the construction site. And these guys are probably mid 20s to early 30s, I would imagine, right? They have a teenage daughter in the house who's looks like she's probably 15,
16.
16.
I think 15, 16, around that age.
Yeah.
Around that age, yeah.
And it's time for her to go to school. So she comes outside in her school outfit to get on her bicycle and go to school. And these guys who are in their mid 20s, late 30s start like dog whistling to her and making cat calls and making sexually suggestive marks to her. This is a 16-year-old girl, right? So if this had happened now, like in the society we live in now, the mom probably would have called the police. Just saying,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
This is highly
Yeah, but
inappropriate.
catcalling is one thing, but like 20-year-old guys doing it to a 16, 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't remember that ever being okay.
No. Apparently it is because the mom just laughs it off, and just goes back to doing her morning thing. I don't see that scenario happening nowadays and it being okay. But it was just an interesting thing that happened in the film where I was like, I don't think this would happen nowadays. Anyway, the family's just kind of talking. They mention the static on the TV and they mention the fact that they feel like the daughter, Carol, might be sleepwalking. And that's what this is, her being in front of the TV and being attracted to it
Yeah.
and walking around
Yeah.
at night. The dad says he was a sleepwalker when he was a kid at her age, um, and that it's probably just something she'll grow out of. So they just dismiss it. Um, the dog goes upstairs to the mom's bedroom or the parents' bedroom and is barking at that spot on the wall that we saw the ghost hands hit the wall earlier. So I had forgotten about the scene, but that's kind of a callback to there's something in the wall that maybe the dog can sense, but nobody else can.
Mhm.
The mom notices it. She asks the dog what's going on. The dog's not paying her any mind. He's just barking at that spot on the wall. Why she doesn't think it's weird that there's a big dark spot in the middle of their bedroom wall kind of strikes me as weird, but she doesn't think anything of it. She just goes back downstairs. The next scene we get, and this is brilliantly done. There's a scene where you continue to see the family, like breakfast room area where the chairs are all around the table. The little girl is in the room playing while the mom is in the kitchen, and you can see the table behind them in the background. She notices that the chairs are moved further away from the table than they normally are. So she says, "Oh, I've told you kids a million times when you get done eating, move your chairs back up to the table." So she goes back to the table and pushes the chairs closer to the table so they're not in anybody's way, and then walks back into the kitchen. I have no idea how they did this, and I can't find it online anywhere. But you see the kitchen with the table, with the chairs sitting close to the table. The camera pans for about 5 seconds to the right where she puts something in the dishwasher. And then the camera pans right back to the table where the chairs are. And now the chairs are stacked on top of each other, on top of the table, in a weird arrangement that would have taken probably 3 to 4 men a good 10 minutes to accomplish. But it's done seamlessly to where you don't hear anything, you don't see anything. It's about 5 seconds and it pans back and all the chairs are stacked up. I have no idea how they did this, but it's brilliant because there was no CGI at this time. There's no way that they could have accomplished this with any type of normal practical effect unless the set has two identical breakfast rooms and they just shifted the set to where they had one where the chairs were stacked on top of the table and then one where it looked normal. And they shifted the set in that little bit of a cut because there is no camera cut. Can't find it online how they did it, but it's a brilliant effect because it takes 2 seconds to do and it's really, really effective. You know what scene I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know what scene you're talking about.
I
Yeah.
just have no idea how they did that. But when this happens, this is when the mom realizes, okay, there's something definitely wrong in the house right now. Things aren't right. Uh, Obviously, nobody did this, so she has no explanation for it. She talks to the daughter a little bit about it. Says, "Hey, did you see this happen?" She's like, "No, I didn't see it happen." Next scene, we cut to the dad who's trying to sell another house that's been built in this project to some other people that are moving in. Uh, the people say, "Hey, yeah, this place is great. It's beautiful. I love the house. The only problem is it looks exactly like the house next door." And in typical salesman fashion, he's like, "Well, it doesn't have to be that way. There's a guy that lives down the street who's got a hot tub in his house, and he's got a pool in his yard, and the pool and the hot tub are connected by the same water pipe. So we can do whatever you want. You should buy the house. It's beautiful. These things are going to be more expensive in like 2 years." So this scene is just there to kind of show you what he does for a living. But he's a good salesman because that's a pretty decent pitch that he just pulled off. There's a scene here right after that where the sky in the background of this community starts to swirl and starts to like change colors and do things that are not natural, right? But nobody notices that shit. There's kids running around the neighborhood, there's parents outside, and nobody notices that the sky is doing this. I thought that was kind of weird because if I had seen this, I'd have been like, we need to get the fuck out of here. That's not normal, you know? But nobody seems to notice at all. So the dad comes home from work, and the mom runs outside and says, "Get out of your car and come inside right now. I have something I want to show you." Right? Because this thing that happened in the kitchen disturbed her, and now they've figured out a few more things about it. So he's like, "Okay, okay." So she pulls him into the kitchen, and when he gets into the kitchen, he realizes they've drawn a gigantic circle on the floor with what looks like paint, and like a couple of arrows going from that circle into the dining room. The first thing I would have thought if I was this guy is, why are you guys putting paint on a brand new floor? What the fuck is wrong with you? But he doesn't say anything like that. He's like, "Oh, okay, my family's fucking up the house while I'm at work." Uh, so what they've done is instead of being extremely scared of this phenomenon that's going on in the house by chairs stacking on top of themselves and things moving around without anybody moving them, they've kind of made a game out of it. So she takes a chair and puts it in the center of the circle and says, "Now watch what happens." And he's watching, and the chair moves across the floor into the dining room. He's completely taken aback by this, doesn't really know what to think about it. But quite honestly, this guy's had a really long day at work, so I don't really think he cares. It's just like, okay, uh, there's something weird going on in the house. Get out of the kitchen. Stay out of the kitchen until I figure out what the hell's going on. She's like, "Wait, but there's something else too." So she takes the daughter, puts a football helmet on the daughter and sits her on the floor and says, "Now watch." And the daughter scoots across the floor from one side to the other. And she makes a comment. She's like, "Mom, my butt's starting to hurt." So she's been doing this all day with her daughter, watching her move across the floor. And the daughter's like, her ass is starting to hurt him because they've done this so many times. Dad really doesn't seem to care too much. He's like, "Yeah, whatever. It's strange, but not weird enough for me to do anything about it." These neighbors. So the mom and the dad decide to go next door to the neighbor's house to ask, "Have you noticed anything happening strange in the neighborhood? Any type of weird things in your house moving around or moving on their own?" He looks at them like they're nuts. Like, what? What would you do if your neighbors came over and did this? I'd be like, "No, I think you both need to quit smoking PCP." That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to lay off the drugs there, brother.
Yeah.
He like completely dismisses them and probably thinks they're nuts now and sends them back home. There's this complaining that they do about mosquitoes in the neighborhood that are eating them up, but it never goes anywhere. You notice that?
Yeah, but I didn't really think much of it. It's just like one of those things people complain about mosquitoes or something, whatever. But I did not really read anything into that.
Well, I think we're supposed to, but nothing ever happens with it. Like the mosquitoes
Yeah.
are specifically attacking them and nobody else. But they don't do anything with that at all. So I think this was some plot device they were planning on using, but they didn't use. Doesn't make any sense. Probably just got written out of the story.
Yeah.
Next scene we get is the tree scene, right? And this is awesome. I love this. At least I think it's the tree scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. That's the tree scene. Yeah.
So this is the scene that was lifted from this film by Evil Dead 2. I've been looking it up because the prop looks exactly like the same prop from Evil Dead 2. So it makes me think they actually reused this prop.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you see that in films all the time, like Predator Part 1, and then Terminator 2, and then there was another movie. all use the exact same Gatling gun. So if you remember Predator and then Terminator 2, there is a helicopter Gatling gun that's used in both of those films. It's the exact same prop.
Okay. Oh,
So
I didn't notice that.
yeah, it's the exact same one. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger said it. He's like, it's funny that we use this in this movie because we also use the exact same prop in Predator. So yeah, what happens is they make these really good props that they use for one movie, and then instead of destroying it because it costs so much to make, they put it back in storage. And if another movie can use it, they use it. And so I think that's what this Evil did too. I think they used this tree prop. But the little boy's sitting inside of his room and he looks at the tree. He's scared of the tree again. There's lightning going on, and all of a sudden the tree starts moving. And it reaches its arms through his bedroom window, these big, like, tree hand arms, grab him up and pull him outside of the window. He's screaming bloody murder, right? Family notices this, and at the same time, as they run outside to try to rescue him from the tree, a fucking tornado starts. So there's a tornado that's touching down in the family's backyard at the same time they're trying to rescue him from this tree. The thing is, the parents don't seem scared enough to me, dude, because this tree is not just like grabbing him out of his bedroom, it's starting to eat him as well. Like there's a mouth on the tree that opens up and the tree stuffs the kid into its mouth and starts eating him. And the parents are not flipping out quite as much as I feel like they should be. There's a fucking tornado touching down in your backyard and there's a tree trying to eat your son. And you're just like, well, I guess we better get him out of the tree. Like, there's no real sense of urgency here. I just thought it was weird. At the same time this is happening, there's a portal that's opening up in the bedroom where the daughter is, which is the same bedroom that the son just got pulled out of the room by the tree, right? And as this portal opens up in the closet, it's sucking everything in the room towards the portal, including the beds and including the little girl. So she's holding on to the bed as hard as she can to try to not get sucked into the portal. Everything else in the room gets sucked into the portal. And then finally she does as well. So now she is gone. For right now, we just think she may be in the closet, right? After that happens, we get a look back down into the yard. A very Evil Dead 2 style portal opens above the house, and the tree that the kid was attached to gets sucked into the portal. And it almost looks like the exact same fucking scene from Evil Dead 2. I had to go look back at Evil Dead 2 at the scene where the tree gets pulled through the portal just to make sure it wasn't the same shot, because these films like to use stock footage, right? But it's not the same scene. It's just a very similar scene. But all this stuff Sam Raimi took directly from this film. The tree gets pulled away. The tornado goes away. The family goes back in the house and they start looking for the daughter because they don't see her anymore, right? So as they're looking for her, they realize she's not calling back to them. They don't hear her voice. They run up to the room. They see that everything in the room has been pulled towards the closet and that the beds are stacked in front of it. They think she may be in the closet, so they go into the closet looking for her. They see something sitting in the corner under her bed sheet, so they think it's her dead body, and they're both crying. They pull the sheet off, and it's not her; it's that fucking clown. It's gonna keep coming back during this entire film. They realize she's not there. And now they're panicking because she's not there. There is a TV that's on in the parents' bedroom with static. And as they come into that room, they hear her voice and it's coming out of the TV. So they now believe that she's been pulled into the TV and she's missing. And between this point and the point that we see next later, we feel like maybe a week has gone by because the father has like, he's got like a beard that hasn't been shaved. He's got dark circles under his eyes. The entire family looks like they're just done.
Yeah.
And probably rightfully so, honestly, because I wouldn't know what to do in this situation. I'm not sure if I would tell anybody else about it because it sounds insane. The only problem is school has started back up, Mike. And so the little girl would have been in school. So I'm trying to figure out how they explain that one away.
I think they gave up a missing person report because they were at the cops and something like talking about, or
no, because when the paranormal researchers show up, they tell them that they hadn't told anybody about this.
Oh, right, that was the paranormal people. That was the ghost doctors when they went there. No?
Right.
I
Right.
I don't know. I don't remember. I guess it probably just called in sick, said she's sick or whatever. No?
That would have had to have been what happened because there's no way you're going to hide that. Fun
Yeah, yeah.
fact, this room that you're seeing here in the next scene is the exact same room that's in Ghostbusters Part 1, where Dr. Venkman is doing that test on students, where he's
Yeah.
doing like shock. Every time they get an answer wrong, he pushes the button and shocks them,
Yeah.
right? One of the best
Yeah, but
scenes
only
in
to the guys, no?
Yeah, only the guys, not the hot girls, but just the guys. Yeah, that's one of the best scenes in Ghostbusters. I think it's a great way to open a film. But this scene right here where the father is visiting these paranormal researchers at this university, that is the exact same room where that scene was filmed in Ghostbusters, which is interesting. The dad
Yeah.
explains to them, yeah, we think our daughter's trapped in the TV. We haven't told anybody about this because we feel like this is something that people are going to think is crazy. I would really appreciate it if you guys would take my case, come to my house and figure out what's going on because we want our daughter back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so this is the scene where I was talking about earlier, where the paranormal investigators come into the house, and there's kind of a short discussion that goes on between them and the family, where they're like, "Yeah, we've been in so many cases and we've documented crazy things that have happened." And one of the guys kind of explains one of the things that they've documented from another house, and he's like really excited about it, but it doesn't sound like anything spectacular at all. Like it sounds like, yeah, that could be paranormal or it might not be, whatever, but he's super excited about it. And the family just like brushes him off. They're like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, fine. Let's go look at the bedroom. They open the bedroom door and there's stuff flying through the air from all over the room, and like this vortex that just continues to circle the room.
Mhm.
The paranormal investigators are like, "What the fuck?" Like they've never seen anything like this before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And this is
Mhm.
also the scene I'm talking about where if you watch the scene, there's nothing in this that indicates that it's fake. Like the special
Yeah.
effects here are amazing. Really, really good, especially for this time.
Mhm.
And would fit in the context of movies nowadays without anybody really realizing it. And I'm not really sure how
Yeah,
they did
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It looks like they may have done some green screen, but that's probably it. And it's not really apparent. And so the investigators are like, well, I guess we're taking this case. Which I would too. Uh, the woman that's the paranormal investigator lead, she's a little bit of a lush. Um, she starts drinking out of a flask of whiskey that she brings with her because this is also disturbing to her. The whole family's sitting downstairs with the investigators around the table, kind of talking about what this could be or what may be going on. The investigators are kind of all hooked. They're like, well, yeah, this is definitely real. There's something going on here. It may be that we're dealing with like a um, another world or something, or they come up with all these crazy ideas, but none of them really
But
seem to fit.
this is also where they come up with Poltergeist, I think,
Yeah,
because they make the difference between haunting ghosts. Because usually, the difference is haunting ghosts because attach themselves usually, to a building or to a place, and they stay there. And poltergeists usually attach themselves to a specific object or a person, and they're only there for a period of time, for a few months, and then they disappear. That's I think that's what they explain here. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. This is where we get the name for the film, like you said. So the family sit down with the paranormal investigators, and they say, "Okay, so when do you normally hear her voice?" They say, "We hear her voice when we turn on the TV and there's static." So they
Mhm.
recreate that. They turn on the TV to where there's static. um, Carol's voice starts coming out of the TV, and they kind of respond to her in front of the investigators. So the investigators realize that what they're saying is true. It's apparent that the little girl can't really understand what's being said because they say things to her, but she doesn't really respond to that. She only responds with,
Yeah, yeah.
"Mommy and Daddy, where are you?" constantly. So she doesn't answer questions. She just responds, "Mommy and Daddy, where are you?" Um, and she says, "There's a light here, and I'm scared of the light." Right? And this is a point in this movie. This line gets thrown back and forth constantly, and it changes every time. So the first time that the little girl says that, the main female investigator says, tell her not to go towards the light. Tell her not to go towards the light, because the light is where she's going to cross over and actually move into the spirit world and become dead, right? And so the mom says, okay. And she tells the little girl, do not go towards the light. Do not go towards the light. Like I said, this changes constantly depending on the investigator that's there, and you kind of don't know what to believe anymore, which is supposed to create a sense of dread for the watcher.
Yeah, because
Because if she goes into the light, that could mean that she dies.
the lead-
Later it comes out, if you go towards the light, that's where you come out.
Yeah, that's the portal to the real world, but they don't know
Right.
that yet because nobody knows what the fuck they're doing.
Right. Right. Which is, I mean, they say just as much too. The investigator, the main investigator woman's like, yeah, this is not something I went to school for. There's no
I have no idea
certification.
what
Yeah.
I have no idea what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody does. I mean, this even to this day, like in the real world, this is not an exact science. This is just, and I'm not really sure how much of it I believe. I mean, I'm an atheist, so it's like,
Well, the point is there
it's
is no
not
science behind
these
these things.
kinds of things, then, you know,
No, there is. The thing is, even you hear a lot of people say, like, when it comes to paranormal activities, science behind ghosts or whatever, it's all fucking bullshit. There is no science that I mean, backs up any of this. I had my ex even tell me stuff like this, you know, like, yeah, but electromagnetic fields, and because she's been to ghost hunter events, you know, somewhere here in Germany. It's bullshit. There is no science that backs up this nonsense. But she says, yeah, but we were in the cellars, the cellulars went off. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's not that hard to create an EMP that could, for a few seconds, disturb the electric power, shutting off smartphones. That's not a big thing. Yeah, but why should they do that? Well, maybe because the fact that he paid them $100 to get this event. I mean, that might be a reason. And my ex told me, she was like, "Oh yeah, being totally mean or whatever, blah blah blah." And I'm just like, I'm really sorry, babe, but what you're saying is total. And I explained specifically to her, no, if I wanted to scam people, exactly how I'd fucking do it. It's just crazy when people, right? I've also talked to people that have been in kind of like these ghost hunter story events, and they're like, yeah, this and this happened. Instantly, you can think of 5 different things that could have caused that. No? Scientifically spoken. Even though I'm not a scientist, just, you know, from a basic scientific understanding that a lot of people have. No? And then people are also like, yeah, but why should they go through all of that hassle and do that? Yeah, because they're earning money.
They're earning money
you
from
fucking
you.
idiot. You
course.
pay them $200 to this fucking event. Why should they do that? They have no motivation in scamming you. No, it's pure honesty. I'm sorry, Matt, but this is just like,
that's just it.
I mean,
No,
this is
it's
kind of
okay.
stuff
I like the conversation. I do, because
Yeah.
this is one of those things that that interests me, right? So I don't. I think as someone who's a skeptic, which I am, right? There's things that you can say exist because there's scientific proof for them, and that can be your stance, and I'm with that. There's science to prove that this thing exists. I can look at X, Y, and Z and know that it does exist. It is based in the real world. We do have proof that it exists. That exists. It's a fact, right? Then there is stuff that has not been proven yet. Science has been unable to explain it. And maybe we're not to the point yet to where science is able to do that, because science has to follow a basic principle, and there's a whole method for that. And there's a lot of things that if you test in the real world and you say that we are testing in the real world according to real world rules, then science can't explain it, right? And this goes for God as well, right? So it's very difficult for me as an atheist. I barely call myself an atheist because I'd call myself a de facto atheist. So I'm only an atheist.
Agnostic is what that is.
Well, agnostic is someone who believes that there is something, right? But you're not attributing it.
No. Agnostic is somebody that believes there could be something. There's somebody that believes, that says there could be something, but they don't really believe in it.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's agnostic. Yeah.
Since then, there's been different viewpoints in terms of like what you term something.
They're just variations of one of those two things.
Yeah.
Yes, I know there's different viewpoints,
Yeah.
but it's just a variation.
But as an atheist, if you just say there is no God, there is no spirituality, there is none of this, I feel like that's kind of stupid, personally, because I can say I'm an atheist and I don't believe in God. That's fine. But I cannot prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no God. So therefore, it's very unscientific for me to say there is no God because there is no proof of that. Just like there's no proof of the fact that there is a God. So we're
True.
kind of on
True.
the fence as to when is science going to figure out what of this is real and what's not real, right? And I just don't think we're to that point yet. And this type of stuff right here is one of those things. There are some things that don't make any sense and we can't prove yet and we don't understand it. And the paranormal is one of those. Yes, there are a lot of people that exploit it and are out to get your money, and there's more of them than not, right? But there's so many things that have happened around the world that we can't explain yet that it's very difficult to say that all of this is BS. And so I keep an open mind to it just to say, okay, I'm
Yeah,
not going to come
well,
out and
the thing
say
is,
that this stuff doesn't
it's just like you
exist
say, not say because
absolutely, because I can't say that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's also the thing is when people say that they believe in this stuff or whatever, I'm like, fine. Now, I've also had people tell me they believe in ghosts, vampires, werewolves, and all that kind of stuff. They told me they believe that they actually believe it could exist and blah blah blah. Huh? And to be honest, okay, fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but for me, it just becomes I just kind of start to how should I say it? I just start to shake my head and laugh at it when they're trying to explain to me that it's fact, or
Yeah,
when they
well, you
actually
should.
see this kind of stuff. And the thing is, there is situations where I agree with you on that
Yeah,
probably might cannot be explained. But every time I've talked to people when they went to these paranormal activity sessions or things, every single time, and I don't know, I have not met any exception to the rule. That's also always something that could easily scientifically be explained why it could be bullshit instantly most of the time.
yeah.
Right.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Well,
You
yeah.
should always be skeptical when someone tells you anything is a fact, unless you're able to like research it yourself and figure out that it actually is a scientific fact. There's a lot of people running around. Um, Religious people are the biggest example that are just willing to
No.
take anything as fact because it's in some holy book or because somebody else told them that this thing is true. The only thing that is true is what you can verify with science, right? And then for everything else, you have to look at it and say, okay, is this possibly scientific plausible in some way? Like we're not to the point yet
Yeah. Yeah.
scientifically where we can say exactly what that is. But the difference between people like you and me and then people that believe that stuff is we're not going to take it on a whim that what you're saying is this when there's no proof telling me that it's this. All I know right now is that there's extra energy here that we know exists in some form. I'm not going to say it's a ghost. I'm not going to say it's anything paranormal. It could be something else. I'm not going to take that extra step to say, well, there's this big hole here that we can't understand. So that must be paranormal ghosts. No, I'm not going to do that. Like people will take that leap of faith. That's why we have the word faith. I'm not a rational person. Unless you show me scientifically that this thing actually exists and can exist, I'm not going to. And that's the difference between skeptics and people who are willing to believe anything, you know? Big tangent, right? So the paranormal investigators are in this house. They're looking at everything that's going on. They believe that something paranormal is going on. There is some energy in a certain spot on the ceiling in this house that appears when the static is on the TV and things drop out of this spot on the ceiling, like old watches, old rings, trinkets, stuff like that falls out of this thing and onto the floor. Right. And so they realize that this one spot in the house is the other entrance to this spirit world that also starts up in the bedroom of the kids. And so now they've roped that area off and say, okay, this is
Yeah.
the exit. Upstairs is the entrance to the spirit world where the girl is. So we're going to monitor this stuff. Um, and this is where shit gets weird. This is where the movie kind of changes a little bit. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm gonna claim that Tobe Hooper is the reason why this happens, and I'm thankful it happens. Okay. So the investigators are in the house. they're getting sleepy and kind of tired because they've been monitoring the energy patterns in this house the whole time. And one of them says, "Hey, man, I'm about to fall asleep." Oh, before that happens, this same guy gets bitten on his side. So he goes upstairs into the bedroom, screams, comes back down and says, "Something bit me." And he raises up his shirt, and there's this huge bite mark that's about the radius of what a shark would do if it bit somebody out of his right side. And so the family's like, okay, nobody's sleeping upstairs anymore. If this thing is going to attack a human being like that, then it's not safe upstairs. So this is where the investigators start to like monitor things throughout the night. And this is where shit gets weird. One of them, investigator, goes to the other guy and he says, "Hey, I'm going to get something to eat because I'm getting sleepy. Do you want anything from the kitchen?" The guy says, "No." He says, "Okay." So he goes to the kitchen, goes into the fridge and pulls out a steak, right? Opens the steak, puts it on the kitchen counter and goes back into the fridge to get something else. He hears
Yeah.
something slimy moving around and turns, and he notices the steak on the table is doing this kind of inchworm thing to where it's moving. And then all of a sudden, the top of the steak kind of like opens up and all this slimy shit comes out of the top of the steak. And it's a really fucking gross scene that doesn't feel like it fits in this film. This makes him sick to his stomach. And this part right here is absolutely Tobe Hooper. This is the part that I told you that he stuck in
Yeah.
this film, and Spielberg had to agree to it. This guy goes into the bathroom to throw up because the steak has grossed him out, looks in the mirror and realizes that there's a part of his face that has a wound on it that wasn't there before. And he reaches his two fingers into the wound and then immediately starts pulling his face apart. It's gory as shit. It's a rough watch because he's literally pulling the skin away from his face and exposing the bone underneath until he gets all the skin off his face, all the muscles, everything, and it's just dropping into the sink, like the skin and everything from his face. And it is an absolutely like R-rated scene that does not belong in this film, but it's there, and I love that. He snaps out of it and realizes it was just a vision, right? So it's not actually happening. But this scene was totally Tobe Hooper, and I'm glad it made it into the final cut because it makes it interesting. Yeah. So after this scene happens, there's a little bit of noise in the house and it wakes everybody else up. And they come downstairs and they're looking up the stairs leading to upstairs. And there's a ghostly figure that appears at the top of the stairs. And it reminds me of, I think it reminds me one of Ghostbusters because of the scene of the librarian. This is the exact same style of special effect that was used for her at the beginning of the film. It also reminds me of Indiana Jones, the first film at the end where the ghosts are coming out of the Ark of the Covenant. Same type of stop motion thing, same type of green screen. It looks really cool and it's really eerie, but she kind of descends the stairs and then goes up through the portal in the ceiling at the bottom of the stairs. They were filming this the whole time that it happened. So they go back and look at the tape and they realize it wasn't just the ghostly figure. It was also a whole bunch of other ghosts. And these ghosts are wearing clothes that people probably back in like the 20s and 30s would have worn. There's a lot of Stetson hats and like that type of clothing. And they're like, what are these people doing here in our house? Why are these people here? What are they doing? They can't figure it out, but they figure out, well, we have enough proof now to say that this house has something paranormal going on. We have it on videotape. It's time to call in a professional. And this is where the best actor in the movie shows up. I fucking love this woman. I think I don't think she's done any other films after this, at least no films that I've seen her in, right? What's the actress's name? Do you have that?
Zelda Rubinstein.
Okay. Okay. So they get her, but before they go get her, the dad's boss shows up at the house and he's like, "Hey, you want to go for a walk with me?" And the dad's like, "Yeah, okay." Long story short, he takes him up to a big hill that's overlooking the city where they live in. And at the very top of the hill is a huge graveyard, right? And he says, "Hey, what do you think about this spot for your new house?" And the dad's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, this graveyard behind me, don't worry about that. We're just going to clear that whole thing out and make room for a whole new development for housing. And this view is beautiful. So I want you to have your house here because we should have made you a partner to our company a long time ago because your sales account for 42% of all the money that we've earned. and we should have made you a partner sooner, and I'm sorry we didn't. So in turn, we're going to give you a new house at the top of this hill. And the dad's like, well, that sounds nice and that's a great offer and everything, but what about this graveyard? He's like, yeah, don't worry about that. We're going to relocate all the bodies and all the tombstones to the next town over so that whoever has a family in this graveyard can come visit their family members, but we're going to move it. And the dad's like, okay, yeah, that sounds fine. Doesn't sound like a big deal. He's like, did you get the permit for that already? Like, if you asked the state? He's like, oh yeah, it's fine. We've already done it before. Exactly where you're living right now. Right.
Yeah.
So that kind of lets you know why this is happening down there. Basically, they cleared out a graveyard, but we don't know the extent of it.
Well, actually, it comes about towards the end. They didn't clear the graveyard. They just moved the headstones.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say later.
Bodies there.
Yeah. So we don't know that yet, though. He just thinks that they relocated the entire cemetery to another place, but he finds that out later. But that's why all these things are happening. Cut forward after this scene, and this is probably one of my favorite scenes in the film. I just got to get to it because I think they bring in the paranormal. Yeah,
they already bring in Crazy Ghost Lady.
Yeah,
right?
Crazy Ghost Lady. And that's what we're gonna call him. This woman is 4'3", 4'3" I looked that up. That's smaller than a Ninja Turtle, Mike.
I know.
Yeah. She is. She probably comes up to our waist. She's a tiny, tiny little woman, and she has a voice that sounds like a 3-year-old.
Yeah, what makes her just insane. I mean, she's a great actress. And she's not playing a role, but it's just like even I don't know. It's even in the context of the story with everything going on. If she'd be in my house talking to me way like this, I would be like, "You're fucking nuts." I mean, it's like sorry, dude, but it's like even for this context, for the scenario itself, she's a little bit too eccentric. Oh, because this is the point where it's like I was thought we could call her Crazy Ghost Lady or Captain Obvious because she comes into the house and she's like, "There's a lot of negative energy here." Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. I kind of felt the same way, but the family.
I mean, she's. I would just imagine that if I would specifically for that reason, if I would be having these issues, and I'm going to call they've called in like the experts, and this shit is going on is too extreme for the experts to handle. So they call in the super expert, somebody that's more specialized in this shit than they are.
Yeah.
So, and then she comes in the house. The first thing she says is, "There's a lot of negative energy here." I mean, if I was the father, I'd be like, "You fucking moron!" Yeah, no shit. Why the fuck do you think we called you?
You're right. She says things that are very obvious, but I feel like it kind of almost has to happen this way because the family is kind of at wit's end, right? They're like,
no, yeah, but it's just how it's formulated. You could have written it so better. She could have came in and been like, "Oh yeah, I see why I was called here." Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's. Yeah. I mean, it's the same meaning, of course. But still, it doesn't make everybody in the scenario look like a complete fucking idiot. It's like. It's not, of course they had to do it, but he can just do it better. I mean, you have like, they know, okay, for one, they know there's a ghost here. She's probably going to informed about all of this shit. No. A little girl's been kidnapped. You have like some ghost terrorizing this family for weeks at this point. You're an expert. You walk into the house, and the first thing you say was, "There's a lot of negative energy in here." I mean, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I would be fucking embarrassed to say something that fucking stupid. I mean,
yeah.
And I'm going to be honest. If I was the father of this family, I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here! Get me somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about." I mean, just like it's the same thing. As if you would have to have your car repaired, and you go up to an auto workshop, and the first thing the mechanic tells you is your car is broken. I'm sorry, I instantly took my car somewhere else.
Yeah, you've got a good point. I never noticed that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's eccentric. She's eccentric and
Yeah.
she's apparently gifted with this stuff as well, right? So, I mean, it
Yeah.
probably would have been weirder if she came in the house and didn't say anything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean,
But I mean, she should say something, or she should come in here and be like, just like I said, like, "Oh, I see why I was called here." Something like that
you
would
already
have
knew
made
why you were called here.
sense. And would but yeah.
Yeah, but I will say this though, like the actress herself was a very odd pick. Because
Yeah, yeah.
in every movie after this, when somebody calls in a paranormal investigator or someone who's gifted with being able to speak to spirits and stuff, they're usually some very dark, like dark clothes, low speaking, almost creepy kind of person. She's the
Yeah,
exact
yeah.
opposite of it.
She looks like my grandma.
Yeah, she looks like my grandma, except 3 feet smaller with a child's
Yeah.
voice. She's a very odd pick, but I think that it works, and it's a credit to the casting because it's not what you expect.
Yeah.
And it provides like a big contrast to everybody else.
Yeah.
Because they literally had to, if you notice the cameras, like I have this weird mind for films. So if you notice where the
Yeah.
cameras are in every scene that she's in, they basically have them so low to the ground that everybody else looks gigantic compared to her. And they had to put the cameras that low on the ground so that they could just get her in the shot because she's so
Yeah.
tiny. And
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
every scene that you see her in where she's standing next to somebody else, they don't look like they're only 5 feet taller than her. They look like they're about 7 feet because she looks about this big. And it provides a really sharp contrast. The fact that she's that small and has that crazy little Minnie Mouse voice, but can command the spirits and command the room and understands what's going on when nobody else does is kind of cool. Like I like how that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
done.
it
I like how
I
that
mean
was done.
I mean, the thing is, I do I think she's a great character. I like the character too. It's just there just so specifically the way she's introduced. It's like I mean, whenever she comes into the story, I like the character, but that's just the point where the story becomes funny to me for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
I explained, there's something else that's going to happen that's even. I mean, this is like something that I could write. You know, like this is when we get to the scene. I do shit like this just for shits and giggles to fuck with people and confuse them. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody that knows me
But
know that's my type of humor.
that
I just
that
like to confuse
that's the
people.
thing.
And
Yeah. But
yeah,
that's the other thing.
and yeah,
She's sold to this family. She's sold to this family as being the investigator who has all the experience and all the know-how and has done this thing a million times. And then that scene happens. And you're like, what? That's what threw me for a loop, Mike. And I think that's why that scene was used for
no, but
comic effect.
it's just
I do, because
a comical.
she was
No,
built
it's
up
just
as
like.
this like super good.
Yeah, no, it's just it's not necessarily it's comical. It's just like at this point, it's just she's just from one second to the next doesn't give a shit about what happens to these people anymore. It's just so funny. I mean, it's like yeah, but we're almost at that scene, aren't we?
Yeah,
No.
we are. So what happens is she kind of walks around the house and she kind of tries to figure out where the energy is coming from, which didn't need to happen because the only thing the family had to do was say it's coming from the kid's bedroom. But they let her wander around the house and try to figure out where the energy is coming from without telling her, right? And then eventually they're like,
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
bedroom. So she's like, well, we're not going to open the bedroom. I do notice that there's something here. Well, no shit. It's roped off and on the ceiling. So good job.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. So
Anyway,
Captain
she's like,
Obvious, I suppose.
so that thing
No,
on the ceiling
and
right
it's
there,
like
yeah, that's a portal. Yeah, that's a portal, and that's probably the exit. So okay, good job. Now what we're gonna do is I need you to understand that I've walked around the house and I realized that your daughter is actually alive. She's alive and she's in the house. So that's like the first realization, because the entire time you've been watching this film, you think that the girl is actually dead. She's not. She's just in the spirit realm. So
wow.
she tells the family that she says, yes, she's in the spirit realm. Yes, we can get her back. But I need you to understand that whenever I tell you to do something, even if if it's against your values, if it's against your religion or whatever, I need to know that you're going to do it. And she says that to the mom, and the mom says, yes, absolutely. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Fine. So they go upstairs and they start calling to the girl. And what are we going to call this woman, by the way? We have to have a cool name.
What, you mean the mother?
Captain
or
Obvious,
Captain
right?
Obvious?
Captain Obvious?
Well, Captain Obvious, yeah.
Okay. Captain Obvious says,
the crazy ghost
I
lady,
need
I would
you
say
to
we
call
call
to her.
Captain Obvious. Yeah.
Captain Obvious. Okay. So Captain Obvious says to the family, okay, which one of you parents is the most strict? Which one of you is the one that she's actually scared of? And both of them say, well, she's not scared of us at all. We don't have to yell at her. She's a great kid, whatever. Captain Obvious says, well, I want you to be really serious and mean right now. You need to call her and tell her that you are going to spank her on the ass if she doesn't answer you right now. And the dad has a real problem with this because you feel like he's never said like one cross word to this little girl in her entire life. So he's like, damn it. What the fuck is her name? Caroline? Carol? Damn it, Carol.
Carol.
I'm going to spank your ass if you don't answer your mother right now. And that's when the girl's voice comes and she says, Daddy, I'm here. Mommy, I'm here. I see the light, which is what she mentioned before. And the original paranormal investigator that was there, the woman said, tell her not to go towards the light because that is going to send her into the afterlife. Captain Obvious does the exact opposite. She says, tell her to go towards the light. Yeah, they're also still there. Yeah,
but that's actually,
he says,
I'm not sure. Yeah. But aren't we kind of missing something out? Because isn't there a scene where they decide that it's a good idea to draw numbers on balls and throw them at the ghost?
Yeah, but that hasn't happened yet though. We're still at the point before we open the door to go in there to do that. That seems a little crazy. But yes.
I mean, it is also because, of course, they want to figure out what. I already know what the portal is, so it's pointless to do this shit. So this is another one of the things pretty much towards kind of the end of the movie that I just can't take it seriously because then Captain Obvious explains some shit to them like yeah, Poltergeist and all that kind of stuff. And what was the first thing they decided to do? Oh, we're going to draw numbers on tennis balls and throw them at the ghost.
I think that was just to establish if the entrance actually leads to the downstairs portal. That's all that is. But I was confused by it at first too, because there's several things that happen with that that make no.
I know why it's supposed to happen, but it's just one of those things. When you came in and said that first thing, it's just everything revolving this world. I can only take as a joke.
Yeah.
But that's not the end of it. We still have the one a major scene coming up.
Yeah, that's what comes up right after the tennis ball thing, right? So they call to the girl. She answers. That's what lets the Captain Obvious woman know what room this is coming from. Again, the family could have just told her it's coming from the bedroom, but she had to figure that out. She's like, okay, all the energy is from this bedroom. So they open the door. And when they open the door, you see the portal in the closet, right? It's all lit up. It's a big portal. She's like, okay, that's it. What we need to do is take a rope and throw that through there to see if it comes out downstairs. And so they do that. They take a rope and they throw it through the portal in the closet, and the other end of the rope comes from the ceiling downstairs. So now they know that that's the two ways, right? And she says, okay, so what we're going to do now is see if this portal, basically they do this without saying it, but what they want to see is that the tennis or the tennis balls come from one side to the other without being destroyed. But my thing is the rope was already through the portal. If the rope came through not destroyed, isn't that enough?
Well, normally, but you still, you have to do something. Let's throw golf balls at it or no tennis balls at it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do the tennis ball thing. So they take the tennis ball and they write two numbers on them.
Yeah. I mean, you can put it off as like, okay, there might be something evil in there, so let's just throw golf balls at it.
I didn't understand this either, because you're right. The rope is already through the door. It's already through the portal, and it's coming out the other side completely fine. So why would you need to do tennis balls? Whatever.
Yeah.
They take tennis balls and they write numbers on the tennis balls, because I guess the ghosts inside are going to trick them with tennis balls that aren't the same tennis balls.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so he writes it, and he says specifically, okay, this is in my handwriting. So if it comes out the other side and it's my handwriting, then it's the same tennis balls. So he does that. He writes a number on it, and she goes upstairs and she throws a tennis ball through one side of the portal, and it comes out the other side and lands in his hand. And he goes, "Oh, it's here, and it's my handwriting." I mean, okay, whatever. So she does it again. She takes another tennis ball and throws it through, and it comes out. And he's like, "Yes, it's my handwriting." So it works. This is when she tells the mother, "Okay, I'm going to tie the rope to myself and I'm going to go through and get your daughter." Right. And this is where the mom says, "Wait, let me go. Let me go. I want to go get my daughter, not you." And this is Captain Obvious goes, "But you've never done anything like this before." And this is where the mother turns to her. Yeah. The mother turns to her and says, "But you haven't either. You've never done anything like this before." And this is where Captain Obvious gets this glazed look on her face, like she's realizing that this woman is right. And she's like, "You're right. You go."
Go. They're screaming at each other. It's like, no, but this is how fast she's like, "Oh yeah, you've never done anything like this before. Neither have you." "Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, go. No."
I think that was done just for comedic effect. I don't think that was bad writing. I think that was hilarious because that is a laugh out loud moment.
Yeah, I know. It's you haven't done this before. Neither have you. Ah, you're right. Go.
Yeah,
break your neck.
yeah. I laughed too. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Because this woman is sold as someone who has done stuff like this before. Like she has a lot of experience like this, but then has never been inside of a portal to another world, which is interesting. Whatever. So the mother goes, right? She goes in and comes out the other side of the portal, covered in ectoplasm, like in Ghostbusters, with the daughter.
Yeah.
So she's made it. The daughter's alive. She's alive. The first thing Captain Obvious.
Nothing is actually happening because they're just laying there. And then Captain Obvious runs up and put her in the bathtub in water or whatever. I mean, this baby chicken, she was fucking alive. I mean, what are we gonna do? Put her in the fucking bathtub. I mean, just a smart ass. You know, we have this evil ghost. Let's throw tennis balls at it.
Well, the other thing is too, and I'm glad they did this because there was a part that we kind of missed, but the Captain Obvious explains to them, "Hey, she's being held in the spirit world by another spirit that is a dark spirit that does not want her to leave." Thank you. That was obvious, right? But the spirit is appearing to her. The spirit is appearing to her as another child. It doesn't appear to be an evil spirit. It's appearing to her as another lost child. And that's what's keeping her there, right? And so you get this picture in your head as the person watching this movie that this other spirit is an evil spirit, but it is a child, right? And so when the dad has the rope through the portal and he's pulling it, trying to like release it slowly so that they come through the other side, there is a monster that pops out of the closet that we see, and it is actually that entity. And it's kind of a shock moment, but it's this. The special effects aren't bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like hitting on the scene in a bad way because it looks bad. It doesn't look bad, but it is a very typical like human skull that is the size of the closet coming out with lit up eyes. And I looked at that and I'm like, well, maybe it is my years of watching horror films and films like this that make this not interesting to me or worth a jump scare or anything like that. So I'm trying to watch it with a historical context, but that scene is not scary at all. It's supposed to be a very scary part where this monster sticks its head through the closet. But to me, it does not look terrifying. I feel like we could have done something else there besides a human skull with lit up eyes, but whatever. I'm not going to fault the movie too much for that because the movie is actually pretty good. That scene could have been better. Anyway, yes, they get put into the tub because they're covered in ectoplasm. Apparently, ectoplasm keeps you from being awake.
Maybe something like that.
I don't know. So they wash the slime off of them. They both wake up. And now everything seems to be fine, right? Everything is...
Yeah, but
the woman, of course, Captain Obvious is like, This house is cleansed.
Yeah. This is the next thing. How? I mean, what did they do? I mean, okay, the girl is saved, the family is saved, that's fine. But this is also something where I was like, I mean, I'm sorry, but it just makes Captain Obvious seem extremely incompetent because this house is cleansed. I mean, why? How? You did nothing but throw tennis balls at it. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I mean
Really
that's like
didn't do too
there
much.
should yeah, because actually what happens is then the paranormal ghost doctors and Captain Obvious fuck off, then they're gone after that scene. Then you have like the next day where they're moving out, they're getting everything ready, and this is the scene where I'm like, okay, you can't tell me any normal, sane person would spend another night in this house. I mean, okay. Captain Obvious, you can say she can somehow sense the ghost or whatever, but still, I don't know. That scene itself just felt insanely fucking stupid because you're not going to get rid of a ghost by throwing tennis balls at it.
No.
And uh, yeah. Yeah.
She this is where, so there's a lot of people that said that. Like, I always read things about movies before we do them, and there's a lot of people that said that. Like, what did she actually do? The answer is nothing. All she did was show them how they could get their daughter back, but they didn't get rid of the ghost. They didn't get rid of anything. But she says at the end, this house is cleansed. No, it's not. You didn't get rid of the spirit. The dad saw it himself. He saw it stick its head out of the closet. It's obviously still there. So you're right, Mike. Any family would have been like, okay, we got our daughter back. Let's get the fuck out of Dodge now. Let's leave. Let's leave.
Yeah,
Let's go get in a Holiday Inn like we see them do at the end of the movie. Let's go get in a Holiday Inn and then find a new place to live because we don't need to stay here. But instead, the entire family acts like everything's fine and they go back to business as usual, but they are moving to go to another place. There's no sense of urgency or anything like that. So they believed her. So literally anything that happens after this point in this movie is Captain Obvious' fault.
Yeah.
Because she didn't say, okay, you got your daughter back. Now you need to leave before this thing comes back and takes your entire family away. She said, no, this house is cleansed. So everything that happens after this point is her fault. That's where I'm at. Even though she's a great character and I think she's cool, she fucked up. Because immediately what starts happening is the family goes about their normal everyday business, and then weird shit starts happening again because now you have a spirit in the house that is pissed off that you took the little girl away, and it is going to do everything it can to get her back. And that's exactly what happens. The mom goes in to dye her hair because she had the same thing that happened to Ash in Evil Dead 2. The whole strand of her hair is turned gray because she went through the portal. So she's dyeing her hair again to get rid of the gray strand, and she's in the bathroom doing that. She comes out of the bathroom and immediately her door slams shut in the bedroom, and some other spirit or whatever starts dragging her up the wall, Nightmare on Elm Street style, up the wall and across the ceiling. And it's a really cool scene. It's basically the exact same thing that happens in Nightmare on Elm Street. The room is actually moving, but we don't see that. You get a fixed camera and the room moves and she kind of falls around the room, just like in Nightmare on Elm Street. Once she is able to get out of that room, she realizes down the hallway, the door to her child's room is completely lit up, right? The door's closed, but in the door frame, you can see that there's a bright light inside the room and the children are screaming. They're screaming because a giant fucking portal tunnel has opened in the wall in their room that reminds me of the Sarlacc pit from Return of the Jedi with the tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's
Yeah,
on their
that-
wall,
yeah,
but it
yeah,
has no
yeah,
teeth.
yeah.
So it's the Sarlacc pit without teeth, if that makes any sense. Right. And it looks like a gigantic mouth with tentacles that are grabbing the kids. That's what's happening on the inside of the room. When the mother gets to their bedroom, the bedroom is now blocked off by this big, I love the special effect, but it's like a big demon is what it looks like, right?
Yeah, what it looks like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a ghostly apparition of some type of demon that you wouldn't want to get anywhere near. It's scary as fuck. Like the effect is really good. But because of that demon, she won't get anywhere near the door. The kids are about to be sucked away into the next dimension. Somehow she gets through the door. I'm not really sure how, but the mom comes busting through the room as the kids are about to get sucked into the tunnel, grabs them both and gets them out, right? At this exact same time, the father is driving up to the house. And as he's driving up to the house, he notices that coffins are starting to pop out of the ground around the house and there's skeletons in them. And I think it's actually the mom that falls through the swimming pool. We missed that.
Yeah. Basically, she tries to get the neighbors for help.
Yeah.
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 But the neighbors, not sure how they can help her, and she's a little bit hysterical.
Yeah.
She falls into the swimming pool where she comes across the dead bodies, of the
Right.
people that were buried there. Until she, after a short scene, finally makes her way out, goes back into the house, and then manages to break into the.
Fun fact, the skeletons that were used in this film are actual human skeletons. I had to look that up.
Well,
Yeah. So
Okay.
Steven Spielberg said, well, we could spend about, he actually gave like a money amount. He's like, we could spend this much creating skeletons and dead bodies and corpses for this scene, or we could just go to the local museum and borrow all the skeletons that they have that are real human skeletons and then just put like stuff on them to make them look like dead bodies and save $500,000. So that's what they did. All the skeletons that you see used in this film are real human skeletons, which is cool as fuck. So yeah, all these graves start popping out of the ground. When they pop out of the ground, they open it up, and it's a really cool effect. They open up and the skeletons kind of fall out. All the skeletons are dressed in different period clothing from whatever was in the graveyard. This is where the dad realizes, holy shit, my house is built on top of a cemetery. Fuck. And of course, his boss is there too because they just came back from being on top of that hill. And he looks at him and says, you bastard, you didn't move the cemetery. You just moved the headstones. You left the bodies in the ground and you built this entire subdivision on top of it. You fucking idiot. And so that is why all of this stuff has been happening this entire time because they built a subdivision over a cemetery and disturbed the resting spirit, right?
Yeah. The thing is, the resting spirit got pissed and lashed out at the community.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. And Mike, I haven't seen Poltergeist 2 or 3, but I imagine this probably expands on that story. Did you see any of those?
I don't remember either. I don't remember. I don't think so.
I never saw them. We might have to watch them just to see. I don't know if they're as good as this one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he runs upstairs. They get the 2 kids out of the house. He meets up with the mom. They bring her outside. They jump inside the family vehicle along with the dog. Makes me happy because I was thinking they were going to leave the dog. They got the dog into the car as well. They pull out of the driveway as more coffins are popping out of the ground and skeletons are going everywhere. And at this exact same time, the teenage daughter pulls up with her boyfriend in her car, in his car, gets out and hops in their car with them, and they drive off. As they're driving off, we get one of the coolest scenes in terms of practical effects that I've seen in almost any horror film, especially any that are made at this time. It looks so impressive that I actually had to look it up. So imagine this, Mike. A big chunk of the budget for this film went to this ending scene, which barely happens in horror films. Usually the last scene is an afterthought and they kind of just film something really quick to make it work.
Yeah.
A lot of money went into the scene because this house that you see implode on itself and get sucked back into a dimension was all practical and it was a full-sized house. Crazy shit. They built a house from the ground up that when you pull a few things inside the house, like beams and stuff, it collapses on itself and then it can be dragged away. And that's what we get here. This house implodes on itself and then disappears. And that was a full-size house that they did that with. And it looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's a great
It
scene.
looks fucking amazing. What an end, dude. Like the ending of this film and that whole implosion scene was awesome. And I have not seen anything done quite like that since because everything else looks fake when they do this in movies, but this looks real as shit. So yeah, the house folds in on itself and it goes back through the portal. The family takes off and goes to a hotel. And then the icing on the cake here is that when the family gets to the hotel, they check in at the Holiday Inn. You see them go inside the room and the door closes. And then the door opens back up and it's the dad taking the TV out of the hotel room and putting it outside and slamming the door because he doesn't want the TV in the house or in the hotel room with him. And that's the end of the film until part 2 and 3, which I have not seen. besides Captain Obvious and a few stupid things that happen in the film, fucking amazing. I love it.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's a great movie, except for the few things we've said, and Captain Obvious. Other than those few things, it's a good movie. I remember also seeing the remake.
You saw the remake? I didn't bother.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. It was fine. It was pretty much the same story. Yeah, the story was pretty much the same thing happening. Yeah.
Is this a movie that needed to be remade? Sounds like a cash grab. Okay. I'd say historical context considered with this film. I'd say this is one of the few that we've reviewed on the podcast that I would put in the theaters tomorrow. I'd put it in the theater tomorrow and people would love it. Like, this movie has not really aged in 43
years.
43 years.
Came out in 1982.
Yeah.
I'm also 43.
Yeah, you're the math guy. I'm not the math guy. Yeah. So I would release this tomorrow, and if people hadn't seen it before or it was a brand new movie, it would probably do really well because it is that good. It's a timeless classic. Steven Spielberg, dude. I would have loved to have seen more horror movies that Steven Spielberg did. Unfortunately, he hasn't done a whole bunch of them.
No, not really. No, I don't remember any horror movies he's done. I mean, I love Steven Spielberg's movies. There's not many I saw that I didn't like.
Oh yeah.
But horror movies,
Jaws is the most famous one for sure. But he did that by himself. This one was done with him and Tobe Hooper. So he did Jaws. He did Duel. Duel, Duel from 1971. Never heard of it. He did Something Evil, 1972. And that's it. Those are the only horror films he did. And I've never seen any of them except for Jaws. So he should have done more horror films because this was great. I would argue it's probably due to Tobe Hooper, though, because if you remove the really dark things from this film, it basically feels like E.T.
Yeah.
It feels like E.T. It's a family movie.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that's just Steven Spielberg's thing, that he does mostly. Now his movies are brilliant, by the way. No? But that's just usually what kind of movies he does,
Yeah. Well, he also did Schindler's List. That is a horror movie in its own right. But yeah, I can't.
It's not a horror movie. It's a historical. That is clearly a historical movie.
I know, but what I'm saying is from the subject matter and what it's actually about. Like, it's a pretty horrific film to watch. I'm not saying it's a horror film. I'm saying it is a film about an actual horror that happened. But yeah, we're talking about the guy who did Raiders of the Lost Ark, dude. Like, this guy doesn't really do bad film.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, since it is Christmas season, dude, what is the first Christmas movie we're doing?
Christmas Horror Story.
Fuck yeah. Okay. Who did that?
Yeah, that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Who did it? I don't remember. No, I would have to look up our list, but I think definitely the next 3 movies coming up are A Christmas Horror Story or Campus. I have to look. Not 100% sure. There was also one I think I had said on our list, Violent Night, but I think we might have to cut out one of them because, of course, we skipped a week. Nah, but I don't really think that's, for me, I don't think it's that much of an issue. The next 4 movies coming up are Violent Night, Krampus, and A Christmas Horror Story.
Sweet.
And
okay.
The newest one is Violent Night. That's with the one guy from Stranger Things, no? But and of course, another one that's kind of a horror movie, but not. It's more like a horror Christmas comedy. But we're going to do that one pretty much towards the end. You know which one I'm talking about, huh?
No.
Yeah? Should I say? You said it before off camera. I've told you. Yeah? Huh?
What is it?
Gremlins.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yes. Down. I love that movie, and I haven't seen it since I was a kid. So I'm excited.
Even though I would say the first one is definitely kind of more comedy, but it does have a certain horror aspect to it, and it's a Christmas movie. So we're doing that one at the end.
Okay.
So that's going to be the last movie of this year.
I'm fine with that.
But
I love Gremlins.
I think I'm not sure if you should say it, but I think maybe we should just cut out Violent Night.
I'm fine with that.
That's one with the guy from Stranger Things. What's his name? David something else.
Okay. I'm fine with that. There's some other ones that are really good, but I think we'll save those for next year. There's one with a
exactly
like Terminator style Santa Claus robot that wants to murder everything. I cannot remember.
Yeah, I know what one you're talking about.
Dude, I want to do that movie so bad, but we'll do that one next year.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So well then that technically would make our next movie being Krampus, because according to our list, A Christmas Horror Story comes after that one, but we can switch them too.
Which one? Because there are two Krampus.
Actually, I don't know if there's. I know of the one that was more a horror comedy. I remember the one.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm talking about. The horror comedy is the one that I'm
exactly. I only know the one that was pretty successful in the theaters. The other one existed, I know, but it was not really that well known.
No, it wasn't that good either. I saw it.
Really, the known one that's what? It wasn't that good. You see, the one that was less known. No,
no, it wasn't good. I saw both of them. I think Paul Rudd is in one of them, and that's the good one.
Yes, exactly, Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
the other one is atrociously bad.
Yeah. I mean, the one I'm talking about is the one where you have this one family, and the one kid gets pissed off, and that brings off Krampus or whatever, and they have like this family barricading themselves in their house while Krampus and his helpers are fighting. That's kind of halfway a comedy, nah? Where you have like the bratty kids or whatever. That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay, that one's a good one. I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's either that one or A Christmas Horror Story. Which one you would prefer to do?
Let's do Krampus.
If we do it, then let's start with Krampus.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next movie is going to be Krampus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about Poltergeist?
No, not really. Just it's a great movie. I liked it. There are just a few things happening towards the end that, make it where I can only laugh about it, but yeah, still it is absolutely a great movie.
Yeah. But I mean most horror films, just because of the absurdity of the whole idea. Yeah, just because of the absurdity of the whole idea of horror films, there's usually something worth laughing at, and I think that's just horror.
Yeah,
I do.
Course,
you're going to find a horror film that you can take completely seriously.
The funny thing is, I don't know, this ghost specialist that thought she cleansed the house by throwing tennis balls at an angry ghost. That's like that makes it funny, yeah.
Okay, so go watch this movie. Give it a spin because it is a classic, and it's one of those that deserves to be played again and again and again. I love this one. But yeah, so I guess we'll see you guys next week for Krampus. And I promise we won't skip this week like we did this last time. But until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
The black skies, the dark side.